Vault Hunters, early game storage. What should you pick? It's a very good question. So early game, you have the choice of three mods really, for your storage. Some are better than others, and some you can do a mixture. My personal favorite is drawers. However, storage drawers is not the best, I don't think, in the early game. I've made that mistake on my single player playthrough and on a server I play in. So you have simple storage that costs 2 knowledge. You have Colossus chests, which cost 1, and you have storage drawers, which cost 1. And you can either do a combination of the two. Um, I think the main best one is this simple storage. It's really good with like connecting. It's like refined storage, just a lot cheaper, a lot easier, and it requires no power. It's really good for early game. It can cause a little bit of lag, but it's really good. Like I said, storage drawers is my favourite, but there's some compatibility issues. The reason why I regret taking this now, mainly around the frame storage, which we'll come up to in a second. Okay, so simple storage. What do you need for simple storage? Well, you only actually need 2 blocks and a little bit of cables. So if we type in simple storage, the ones we need are this storage network route, so this connects things, which requires 1 volt diamond and 4 blocks of quartz, and these link cables. We also need link cables to connect chests to it. To create link cables, let's start at the beginning. We're going to take some network cables, which is 6 glass and 2 chromatic iron, which gives you 6. We're going to need a few of these. I recommend making probably at least 20 to begin with. Then what we're going to do is with that, we're going to click on link cables, which is 1 driftwood and 4 network cables to make 4 link cables. So it's also 1 for 1, except it costs 1 additional driftwood. And then that gives you your storage network route. So this route is basically your system and how it connects to everything to it. The next thing you're going to need is to actually see your system. So you're going to need a storage inventory, which is a perfect Larimar, 4 chromatic steel ingots, and 4 link cables. This is probably the most expensive thing to just get it up and running. So once you've got that, you're going to need a few more cables. So you're going to need some link cables to connect to chests, and you're going to need some network cables because they're cheaper, just to do some extra connections. Let's grab a chest as well. So at the moment, it is completely blank because it's connected to this, but there's nothing connected. These network cables cannot connect directly to chests. So if you see, if I do that and let's shut down a chest here, and then if I put, let's say, knowledge star essence in there, if I look at this, I can't see it in the system. That's because these network cables are just interconnecting cables for the actual network. This counts as almost like an external storage. So what you need to have is a link cable. It links this external storage to your network mainframe. So now, when I look at this, I can see I have 1 knowledge star. Another issue you can get with this is if you then turn a single chest to a double chest when it's connected, it will unconnect. So you need to make sure you have your double chest first, then you put in your link cable, and then it's fully connected. And it's simple as that. Okay, a few extra things you can do with this is we can make one of these storage request tables, which is one of the bigger things. This costs an echo, not an echo pog, sorry. This costs just a pog, 3 crafting grids, and you can take your storage inventory, and you'll need 4 chromatic steel. You can take that and use it as a crafting, and you can replace it with this storage request table. Now then, this storage request table allows you to craft in here as well, which is really good. And you can craft straight from JUI, which is really, really, really useful. Another thing that's really useful is if you have the pouches, the sophisticated backpacks mod, and you want to get some loot, you can make one of these filtered import cables, which is just a barrel with 4 import cables. I mean, you can just use an import cable, to be fair. You can just get import cable, which is a hopper, and 4 network cables. And what you can then do is you can then put your filtered or unfiltered import cable, connect it to here, and then when you come out from a vault, you have some loot in your pouch. So yeah, I've got 7 polished andesite. You just crouch and right click it on top of it, and it connects it. And now, if we have a look, it's imported all 7 andesite. So it's an easy way of depositing everything that you've got from your pouches, from your vaults. Nice and easy. So the most basic type of storage you can make with this is something like this. If I had a whole stack of chests. You just have loads of chests over and over again. Have as many chests as you want. And then what you do is you just get into the link cables and you connect each one of them to your chests. Now each one of these chests are connected to the system. And it does it in an order, so it always chuck in here. So it's a little bit annoying sometimes. So if you had, let's say, 12 chests full, and they were completely full, and you took something out of that last chest, like half a stack of driftwood, and you also took out a whole stack of something from the bottom, when you put that extra any driftwood back in, it will go to that empty space in this chest instead of to the pre-existing space up top. So it can't really find where you've got things unless you're using um, storage drawers. And if you're using storage drawers, you can use something called a filtered link cable. Now, what a filtered link cable is at the moment these are all blue, so these have just standard priority. But we can add priority to chests. So this now, if I click on it, it has a priority thing here, and I can change the level. So I can go from 1 all the way up. The lower the level, higher the priority. And any priority you have on one of these filtered link cables is going to have a higher priority than any of the blue ones. So you can choose which ones you wanted to go through to first. So you can have these stacked massive up high, which is not bad to begin with, but you will want to get one of the other two storage mods to go with this in the early game. Moving on to storage drawers. This is my favourite, although it's a little bit pricey. So to get storage drawers, what you're going to want is the drawers themselves have become cheaper. They were really expensive to begin with. But storage drawers, you need, for any of these, you need to have a jungle log, sorry, 4 chromatic iron, and 4 driftwood. And it's the same for whatever size you want, except you just need the wood to be the type of drawer you want. Now then, there's different types of drawers. You have a 1x1, which holds 1 item, 32 stacks for that item. You have a 1x2, which holds 2 items and 6 stacks for each item. So if we had, I've got one in here that is a 2x2. So 2x2 has 4 separate things. So each one of these, as you can see at the top of my screen, it has a stack limit of 8. But we can upgrade them with these upgrades. These upgrades are a little bit pricey. It takes a whole drawer and 2 chromatic steel to make 4 of these upgrade templates. And then one of those templates are needed along with some other things to upgrade to different tiers. So the diamond one is 16 times your base value, so it'll be 16 times 8. But you need to have 4 vault diamonds, 1 of the templates, and 4 chromatic iron, which isn't too bad. Now then, where it gets a bit pricey is if you just have storage drawers, you will want to have something called a drawer controller, which costs a pog, 2 drawers, and 4 black chromatic steel with 2 extraordinary Larimar, which is a little bit pricey for what it is. I think this should be a little bit cheaper. So all this does is what this does is just allow you to right click on it, drawer controller, it right clicks. I can right click any item into there, and if it has a pre-existing drawer already for it, it'll put things in the item. For example, let me split this into 2 things. Because this drawer is connected, it's touching this drawer controller. If I have 32 of that in there, if I right click, I'm going to split this in half again. If I right click once, the item that was selected will go into the drawer. However, if I right click twice, any items that I've got in my inventory will go into any of the connected drawers. So that's the whole 64 I've got in, which is really, really cool. So these are really cool for showing off all of your vault gear, and that's what I use it for on my server. But it's not too bad. The really cool thing with vault, with the storage drawers, are these framed drawers. And I'm going to get these 2 extra types. So if we take this frame drawer, which is just any drawer surrounded by sticks, and it turns it into a frame drawer, you can do it as well for the drawer controller. And what you can do in a crafting grid, if you put this in this middle slot here, we can then put some things in these 3 slots. So if we put it in the top left slot, that is the outer shell of that storage drawer. We can change to anything we want. So as you can see, I've just put in the crimson planks, and it turns into crimson planks. I could put in the tough, and the outer shell would be tough. So we can put any resource, and you can put non-item things in here as well. You can put a sapling in there, although it looks a little bit goofy. You then have this top one here, which is the trim. So this one here is the trim, so you can't see it properly, but I'll make this in a second and bring it out. But it has the trim going around the borders of the edges of the cube of the storage drawers. And the last but not least, this one here is the face. So if I just made that, Here we go. As you can see, I've got the tough as the actual faces of the cuboid. I have the trim, which is the crimson planks, and the warped planks is the face of it. You can have it so it glows or shines, so you could use one of these blocks as the face, then it looks really, really bright. You can use anything at all, which this is why I love this mod. But there's an issue with this frame drawers and simple storage. They do not really work very well together. We'll go into that in more detail in a minute. But that is pretty much everything for it. And then you can also get these drawer keys as well, so you can lock certain drawers. So you see how it's got a little keyhole on the top now? So if I put this warped planks in here, and let's put this crimson planks here. This one's not locked, and this one is locked. If I take all of the crimson planks out of this one, it leaves the space empty. Whereas if I take all of the warped planks out of this one, it still has that icon there, but at the top it says there's 0 in there. It saves that inventory space for warped planks. So now when I double click on this, oh, it's not connected, that's why. Let's make this connected. So let's do that. Now it's connected. If I double click on this, as you can see, all of my warped planks gone back into that storage drawer. So that is storage drawers. And the last but not least is Colossal Chest. Colossal Chest is pretty cheap to make. So we only need, we need to make some Colossal Chest walls, which is chromatic iron ingots, driftwood, and any wood. And that will make one of these chest walls. You will also need to have per chest 1 Colossal Chest core, and that's it. That's all you need. You might want to have an interface, so if you're planning on connecting it to a refined storage, then you'll need to make an interface as well, but that again is pretty cheap. So how do these work? So let's just talk about the core and the wall. So all of the data for your chest is actually saved to the core, so you have to be really careful you don't damage the core. You can dismantle a chest, but if you pick up the core, then it deletes all the data inside the chest. So it needs to be a square, so you can have one core, and it can be anywhere. So let's do a really small 3 by 3. So 1, 2, 3. And I put the core down at the bottom. Like I said, it doesn't really matter where the core is. And look, it turns into a Colossal Chest, which has a lot of inventory space. Let's just, if I do that, as you can see, it's got masses of inventory space. I cannot remember off the top of my head how much it has, but you can make these a lot bigger as well. So this is quite a small one. We can build this a lot bigger, and like I said, it doesn't matter where the core is, but as soon as I do that core, it will pop out all of our items, because all of the information on that core was saved. All the items in the chest was saved to that core. But we can make it, let's make it a 5 by 5. Why not? So we can keep going. The only problem is larger the chest, more lag it causes when you open it, because there's more data in that one block, which is the core. This I'm going to put the core in the corner here to show that it does not matter where you have it. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's I'll come back to you guys once I've got this built. And look, now we've got a 5 by 5, and this one is even bigger. So bigger the chest, more space you have inside, but instead of making it bigger, you can upgrade it. So upgrading it is not too expensive. It's expensive to go from a Colossal Chest wall to a Colossal Chest wall, but copper version, it requires your wall plus 4 chromatic iron and 4 blocks of copper. Then to go from iron to copper to iron, it requires 4 blocks of iron, etc, etc. And this gets you exponential space for storage, which is really, really good. Okay, so now I've given you a basic information about all 3 storage devices and how you can use them by themselves, but this is definitely the best. Simple storage is the best, for sure. However, you might not like having tons and tons of chests. You might want to have it as a nice, neat inventory where you can display it all. So to go with simple storage, that's where storage drawers would go really, really well. However, if you just want a massive amount of chest space but a smaller, not for it to take up as much, you can go into Colossal Chests. That's sort of your options. To enter Colossal Chests, all you need to do is you need to have one of these interfaces. So let's chuck it in an interface there, and then you just would need to connect it to this So let's go with our link cable and some network cables. That's all we actually need. And you just, obviously you probably have it a lot closer and you won't need to do all this wiring. But if I just went like this, ooh, and wire it all the way over here, and connected. So now the interface is connected. So if we chuck, let's chuck our item frame, 12 tough, and more tough. So we've got 63 tough in an item frame. If I then click on here, I can see that 63 tough and the item frame. So that's the one way we can do it. And you can connect multiple of these chests to your simple storage, which is probably the best option for bulk storage. Okay, so if you want to use storage drawers with simple storage, and this is my drawer layout. As you can see, I have some carrots up here. All you need to do is with the back of your drawer controller, you can connect to the drawers individually, but I would not recommend it. It's the back of your drawer controller. You're going to need to have a filtered link network. And you want to set this to 0, so it prioritizes these drawers over any bulk storage you've got as well. Because then the items you have will go to these first. At the moment, you see I've got 64 carrots. So if I get some more carrots, let's get another 64, and I'm going to chuck it into. So that's the best thing about the storage. I can just drop it into this face, and it'll put it into there. So now if I have a look, it should have, as you can see, it has 2 stacks of 64. So it prioritized this first over everything else. So to connect to simple storage to storage drawers, you need to have this filtered link cable. Now then, the issue is when you have frames. The frame stuff then breaks it. You cannot have framed drawers and simple storage working perfectly together. There's something wrong with it at the moment. So if I get some framed drawers, let's go for, I should actually the wrong bar. Framed drawers, I'm going to want a framed, just a framed drawer. And where is the framed, what's it called? Draw controller. Perfect. Okay, so now then, if this is now a frame draw controller, you can put it down without anything, without showing anything. It's just keep it, as the frame it is. Or you can, customize it. If this is a framed draw controller, and I have, let's take out 1 stack of carrots. If I now put in this other stack of carrots, as you can see, oh, it has worked. Interesting. So, for some reason it's worked now, but it had not been working on my single player game mode, which is really, really odd. I might have made a mistake on my game mode. But yeah, in that case, this does work for frame drawers as well. You just need to make sure that this is a filtered cable, link cable. The last benefit I've got for drawers as well is this compacting drawer. So this compacting drawer, if I put this down, it will compact things. So if I get some diamonds in, and let's have a whole stack, as you can see, diamonds can go into a diamond block. So if I put a whole stack of diamonds in on this dot here, as you can see, diamonds can be compressed to diamond blocks, and then it can be compressed to compressed diamond blocks, and it will do it automatically. So the more diamonds you put in, it will put them in as diamonds, but compress them as it goes, and it stores it as the most compressed form that it can be. So as you can see, we have 7 diamond blocks and 1 diamond, and this saves on space. But we can take them all out of diamonds, so that if you see get to 0 diamonds, I click again, it will just break apart that block and put it into 9 diamonds to take out like that. So that's another benefit of storage drawers. So, I hope this video has been helpful in letting you decide on what sort of storage device you want to have. There's multiple different options. Simple storage is the best for the connecting everything together and best for early game. Storage drawers is my favourite, although a little bit buggy. It's been working fine on this world, but on my single player world, it doesn't work very well with the frame storage drawers, which is very, very interesting. But yeah, I hope this has helped, and well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.